Well, this week I'm taking a look at Barbara Tuchman's last book, and that was called the title was The First Salute. And The First Salute is her history of the American Revolution, and it's got a fairly unique perspective. Instead of starting the story off with, the battles of Lexington and Concord and then going on through all the other battles, she starts off with the tiny Dutch island of St. Eustatius in December 1776. And the title of the book comes from the moment that the Dutch governor of this St. Eustatius dared to fire a formal 11-gun salute to an American ship. The ship was the Andrew Doria, and it was flying the American flag. So this was the very first official recognition that we ever got by a foreign power that we existed as a country. Now, I had never heard of this tiny island, but it turns out it was a really important depot, so to speak, for getting weapons from Europe to George Washington's army in the colonies. And this little salute that the governor did really pissed off the British. Now, from there, Barbara Tuchman shifts the story of our revolution to what was going on inside European power politics at the time. Her general point is that our revolution was really part of a kind of a global economic chess match involving the French, the Dutch, and the British. In other words, in this book, she's not really giving you descriptions of famous battles like Saratoga, Long Island, Trenton. What she does do instead is to tie the story of our revolution into what was going on in Europe. And you think about it, that really makes sense, because you know that we couldn't have beaten Britain on our own. We needed outside help, and we needed a lot of it. So the way she does the book is she gives a kind of a capsule history of the Netherlands, its political structure, its economic interests, things like that. She does something similar with France. Now, along the way, she details how something like our victory over Gentleman Johnny Burgoyne at Saratoga played into all of that. And also, of course, she describes the diplomatic maneuvering that Benjamin Franklin and John Adams were trying to pull off with these countries. She comes back to the United States, to the Revolution, with a detailed description of the siege at Yorktown and Cornwallis's ultimate surrender. One thing that Barbara Tuchman does in all her books is to make historical figures really come alive. In this book, she gives vivid portraits of figures like George Washington, Admiral Rodney, Henry Clinton, Lord Cornwallis, Rochambeau, Admiral de Grasse. There's plenty more like that, and I'm just not remembering each of them at this moment. Now, let me say a word about why I find Barbara Tuchman such a pleasure to read. And that is her prose style. Her writing is crisp, it's elegant, and she doesn't just report facts. She paints scenes, events, people with what she called corroborative detail. Those are her words. And what those things are small, sharp observations that can bring a person or a moment instantly to life. Now, what I really enjoy are her pithy observations, comments on people. It's almost like you're in a conversation with her. She never misses a chance to point out the, quite frankly, goofiness of guys who are in charge of things. She did it in the Guns of August, and she does it here. She's really brutal. with British politicians, generals, and admirals. On the other hand, she's a George Washington fanboy, just like I am. Now, I'll tell you what, I absolutely loved this book. I took my time reading it because it was just so enjoyable. You might want to give it a try, or a second try even. In the meantime, I'll see you next week.